Welcome to the Process Podcast with Rod Howard, where artists, entrepreneurs, and visionaries share their stories and insights on creativity, world events, and personal journeys. Get ready to deep dive into the minds of those shaping the future. This week, we'll be getting the opportunity to sit down and chat with community activist, artist, and poet Osyrus BOLLY. But let's not waste any time. Let's get started. You remember the first time you ever performed a poem or a song?
Yeah. You want me to tell you about it?
Yeah, man. What?
Oh man. First time I did a poem, I went to open mic at the Looney Bin. The Looney Bin Comedy Club over there on Rodney Parham. And there's a bunch of comedians in there. And I thought I would just, break the monotony up and get on stage and do a poem instead of try to be funny. And that was my first time ever, you know, reciting poetry in front of other people. But I had been writing poetry for a long time. I just really had got inspired by seeing like videos of different slam poets and the Deaf Poetry Jam, all that type of stuff. And I was like, I probably should take my poetry to the stage and see how well it's received as a spoken word artist. So yeah, that was my first time. Looney Bin.
That's crazy, man. How old was you when you did that? Did they even have poets up there? Or you just got up
I
there?
just got up there.
Man,
It was open mic night, so anybody could sign up to do whatever to do what they wanted to do, but they didn't have any clue that I was gonna be, reciting poem.
you remember the piece you did and why you did it?
No, I don't remember what piece. It probably was no, I can't even speculate on it. It was something that um I just did in my spare time, and was something I never intended on really performing for other people. But like I said, I got inspired. I was like, I probably need to share this because I wanted to kind of branch off and start doing things as a performing artist. So, you know what I'm saying? So it wasn't anything. Yeah, I probably thought it was a good poem at the time, but it was something I hadn't memorized. I read it off paper. And so I wasn't even ready to really even be a performing artist. I just was ready to like see what I sounded like on stage and then see the response that I got.
That's crazy. You remember how old you was when you did it?
Uh, Old enough to be in the Looney Bin.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, so
Stop. Well, I guess the reason I asked that, man, it's like a good, it was a lead up because, like, looking back at that moment, whenever
yeah.
you did that, could you ever imagine that you would have went from doing that to doing all the stuff that you're doing now, whether like from writing the music, performing it, and then going on to doing all the community engagement type stuff? Like at that point, was you even thinking about that, or could you have even envisioned that you could do all
No,
this?
no. Honestly, only thing at that time, I didn't see anything community wise involved in that. You know what I'm saying? I just saw at that time I was eager to get on stage and share with people what I thought was like a piece of my dopeness as an artist, my art form. I never thought that I would even do any activism, though I always admired them. You know what I'm saying? My mom would tell people though that growing up, I always had a thirst for knowledge and learning about different civil rights leaders, activists, revolutionaries, people who moved and dreamed with a radical imagination. I was always attracted to that. She tells stories all the time about how I told her I wanted to be a rebel, but I never I never thought that I would do anything as far as like community because I wasn't really living that that type of life. I was more about just being a young adult and just um, having fun, happy to have some freedom, happy to be independent, and kind of moving on my own, and just really ready to buck the system more than anything. So, but I never envisioned that I'd be where I am today, and that wasn't that wasn't on the vision board.
Man, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
So, like, I know you mentioned like you had started writing and stuff like before all that. So, I mean, how did you get into like poetry and the music and all that jazz?
Lame story, boring story. I was writing I was writing as a teenager and, just kinda doing it on my own, like something I did as a little hobby that I really didn't share with anybody that wasn't in my close friend circle, so I didn't really like I said, I didn't really do, I didn't really record much, but I was writing constantly. That was one of my things was to journal or just write poems or write raps. Had a little girlfriend in high school. I got, like, suspended from school or something like that, and she wasn't my girlfriend at the time, but she was, trying to get my attention, and so she would ask where I was at. My friends were like, "Oh, man, he not coming back to school for a while," you know? And so she didn't have my number or anything like that, and so she just approached my homies and was like, give him this message from me," and it was a note, and it was written in a poem and written in verse, and so, of course, when I got the note, I knew that my friends had read it, but I thought she was super talented. I was like, "I don't even know who this is. I don't know who she is, but she gotta be creative, talented, and a dope person if she could tell me how she feel, and I never even met her through a poem." And so in my mind, I was like, the only way I can really respond to her is to give her a poem back. I can't whenever I show back up to school, I can't be like, you know what I'm saying, like, "Thank you for that poem," or "How you doing?" You know what I'm saying? I gotta give her something back because, like, she set the bar high. And so I was still suspended. I was like, told the homies come back a couple days later and I have a response for her. Cause I'm like, they read what she said, so they might as well read what read what or what my response back. And so that kind of like inspired me because it was like I was already doing that. So it wasn't like I was writing my first poem ever. I remember my teacher telling me like, you got a real talent for meter in English class. And I would just like, I love when it was assignments like to free write, creative writing, whatever. Like I don't, or just writing in general if it was something I was interested in. So I knew I had a talent for like writing poems, but like I say, only person that read them at the time was like my teachers, or I might have shared it with a close friend. So I was excited to share a poem with a fellow poet. That's honestly how I got started. Yeah.
Man, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. You didn't had it to like a whole career doing all this stuff
Yeah.
from doing that. That's great.
Yeah, man.
Nah, man, fast forward. So,
Yeah.
man, you got an opportunity to do like just some big opportunities doing like a lot of poetry and music in front of folks. I know you're doing your thing with foreign tongues and just winning all
Mhm.
these competitions and stuff. So I guess out of curiosity, like everybody know, or at least people from Arkansas know a lot of stuff that you've done with poetry and art. I guess for me, at what point did you start taking that and intertwining, like, your gift of words and stuff to doing community service and all that? Man, how did that happen, man? How you start getting into all that from that?
So while I was out here being like a poet, a hip hop artist, you know, like I said, I was just strictly focused on the art form for the most part, but I always had a mind for like political education and community. I just didn't see myself in that capacity as a career or even just as an organizer. So it literally just started from like people feeling like I had something to say that was positive that would affect other people in a good way, and particularly you. And so my first opportunities to even like engage with the community, well, yeah, it was at an open mic, but it was like people would we covering poetry in our class, and I want you to come like perform and talk to the kids about poetry. I'm like, okay, cool. All right. So like a few friends, we would go and do that. And then it got to the point where the universities, can you come and do a presentation or performance in our creative writing class or our English class or whatever? I think my first time I did that was that a professor invited me to UCA, University of Central Arkansas. And basically the whole day, his class was me performing along with other poets and us talking to the students and answering their questions as if we were like the professionals and the experts. And I was like, oh, okay, so like on a college level, this information that I'm providing is helpful to these students. So that's when I kind of realized that like whatever I was saying and what I was doing actually uh, was a form of education. And so after doing that, just always trying to, how can I engage the community without just strictly entertainment and art? Well, you know what I'm saying? We can educate, we can empower them. And so I began to put together events at the open mic where different people running for elected official came to the shows and we would pause the show and we asked some questions. It's basically a big community forum, but it was just like, are you brave enough to show up and, you know, talk to the artist community? So we started doing that. Um, Putting together food drives for the less fortunate, you know. So I took that and I said, hey, well, we can do a food drive, but why not do a show for the less fortunate too? So we organized that. Um, People impacted by natural disasters, you know what I'm saying? Hurricanes, earthquakes. Let's put together a benefit, entertain the people, but like, let's raise money.
Mm.
And so always understanding that people will go come together and like party, have a good time, fellowship, but we can actually do something productive. But if I could just use this art form as a vehicle to get to that level where we show people like, hey, we have all the resources here in our community. We just got to tap in with each other. I'm real adamant about the fact, don't ever tell me to come to your networking event. I don't network. I build relationships with people. Cause network to me is like not authentic. Like I don't come to places with the opportunity to just, oh, here's my card. I'm coming with 50 different business cards. Like, I don't want to talk to 50 different people about 50 different things and hand on my card 50 different times. I want to get to a place, be in an environment, have a natural conversation, let that flow, learn about you, you learn about me. And then if you're somebody I need to connect with, I realize that if we having a real conversation and you paying attention to what I'm saying, what I do might have zero to do with what you do as a person, but you probably know somebody that I should know.
Mm.
And a lot of times people like, oh, do you know such and such? Yeah, I know such and such. Or they'll bring up somebody I don't know. And then I have an opportunity to reach out and talk to that person. We could build in the community together or build in the state or nationally, because like a lot of times what I would do now is working on policy, building relationships with people. It's key to do that in other states. And so the art form might get me through the door. They might see me perform in various different states, various different venues or institutions. Uh, but it might actually really connect me with somebody that, like, if I'm working on some policy work or just in general, just doing some type of work where I'm working on an initiative and you did it in Portland or you did it in Detroit or Akron, Ohio or Richmond, Virginia, all these different places. And I'm talking about places I named, I've literally copy and pasted
Mm.
how to do something from learning and sitting at the feet of other people. And then at the same time, sharing what I have with them. So that's what really got me into it. But the art form was always like what really got my foot in the door because like I say, people love entertainment. Um, People love music, poetry. People love food. That's an art form as well too. And when you can put that in front of people as the starting point, then it's gonna open up all the other doors and you can get access to everything you need if people are genuine and are looking to do relationship building, you know?
Yeah. So, I mean, you got all this, community service stuff going, but you still find time to do, like, a lot of art stuff, like, it's
Yeah.
still based around a lot of art stuff. How do you feel like, knowing that you, like, working with, like, kids for a lot of stuff, knowing that you're doing all the community engagement stuff, how do you feel like that's impacted your creative work over the years?
Oh, it's just basically helped me to evolve as an artist and to and to always see fresh perspectives and how to incorporate newness to what I do and have continue to have an open mind. Um, I love jazz. I love jazz, and it's one of my along with hip hop and R&B, gospel, bossa nova, reggae. Those are what you can catch me probably listening to all the time, unless I'm listening to some poetry. Um, but I like to bring up Miles Davis because as a jazz artist, um, Miles Davis he displayed what Barry White called staying power. Um, Barry White had a song called "Staying Power." Miles Davis was the epitome of staying power. Miles Davis' career spanned 4, maybe 5 decades, simply because he was, saying he was a beast at what he was doing, and it was he did things at a furious pace and was just unapologetic of who he was. So when he got his shot to show everybody his talent, he he shined. He put out classics. But the only reason why people I ain't gonna say the only reason, but one of the main reasons why people always look at him like Miles Davis is one of the jazz greats. He's an impresario. He's this. He's that. Um, Miles Davis continued to evolve. When things started to get I ain't gonna say redundant, or I'll just say when things seemed to be like routine with him, that's when he would break up the whole band. You know what I'm saying? You would think somebody like Miles Davis would wanna play with John Coltrane his whole career because of how great John Coltrane was, but that just wasn't the case. He wasn't gonna play with a musician longer than a few years. He wanted to continue to evolve, continue to stay young too, even though he's aging, and that's what helped him remain relevant, and that's why you have if you go look at, people be doing, showing their trees. The trees are the connections. That's why when you look at his tree, you see all these different legends attached to him because they all played with him in his band at some point. Now his attitude was something different. You might have just played with him a year, but for up and coming jazz musicians, for people who were pretty much unknown until Miles got with them, that was a that was like a gold star on the resume.
Yeah, man, that's a good point you brought. I remember you had a. I'm gonna quote you. You had a line. What'd you say? God love us for who we are, but He love us the way we are, but He love us too much.
To remain the way we are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and so it's like, as time progresses, the law's gonna change. As time progresses, you know what I'm saying, we have to, be able to adapt and move with it. And so, like, when you when you start to see yourself not understanding things, feeling like you out of the loop, that's a sign that you really are being resistant to change. Now, you ain't gotta like everything, you know what I'm saying? But when you start to, like, I can't like, when you if you can't turn on the radio in 2024, if you were born in 1990 and you can't turn on the radio in 2024, and ain't nothing on there that you like, or if you just get online and listening to music on Spotify or whatever, and you don't like none of the hits at all, that just means you stuck in your ways and you resist the change. And it's proven. Most elders, no matter how radical they start off when they, they 19, 18, 17, they get conservative by the time that they reach that age where they just sit around the house all the time.
yeah.
Because they don't understand what's going on in the world. But if you want to be a true change agent, if you want to continue to be an artist that grows for the rest of their life, you have to you have to feel like you belong somewhere in the world and that you need to be a part of what's going on and that you need to know, what I'm saying, what's going on. On
Man,
Swahili with Kwanzaa, they say, Habari Gani, what's the news? You need to know what the news is.
man, I got like
Okay.
three questions.
Yeah,
Before we
man.
get out, just real quick ones.
All right.
So first one, man, I know, I would say you like the one of the go-to people. I know people I go to a lot of times about getting information about what's going on
Yeah.
or how to be active about what's going on. Cause I know You do stuff with Little Rock Freedom Fund. You got stuff going with the kids and stuff. You real active. I know a lot of people at home are trying to figure out like what can they do to be more active. I know you get that all the time, but if you had to give somebody at like 30-second spiel, give somebody about things that they could do to be more active in their community using their skill set, what would you say to them?
Before you even start looking around for what you can do, identify your role. What is your role in this ecosystem? What is your role in this social change ecosystem? Are you a caretaker? Are you an educator? Are you a visionary? Are you a frontline responder? Are you a disruptor? Um, are you a chef? You know what I'm saying? Are you an assistant? What is your role? Find out what your role is, or if you don't want to call it a role, find out what your strength is, what you believe your strength is. From there, all it takes is a simple Google. And when I say Google, I'm really talking about get on all the search engines that you can. Every social media has a search engine. Type in the words that you feel like are important to your passion, and then go from there. And then the best thing you could do is just ask around in your own community, word of mouth. Like, who, if you want to do something, who can I go to get into IT? Well, talk to somebody that you might know be interested in IT, or you know what I'm saying. Just go looking for that, and then I guarantee you'll run into something on IT. I mean, on the internet that can point you in that direction. It's the same with everything. You from social justice to corporations. You know, saying just do that. But first, identify your role, and then I guarantee you, it's gonna be kismet. You're gonna meet who you want to meet if you're sincere about what you're doing and serious about where you want to go.
Yeah, I guess two more.
Okay.
So, for you, man, if you had to like summarize, like you got a lot of stuff going right now, but I know at the core of it, there's like it's got to be a central purpose behind it. So, if you had like a minute to explain what is your mission at this point, what's your mission in life at this particular moment?
My mission is to um my mission is to let people know that you don't have to look and come from a background where people expect you to step up and be a leader in order to be a leader. Ella Baker says, strong people don't need strong leaders. So that's telling you that you don't have to go find your community's version of Martin Luther King to get something accomplished. You don't have to find that version of Malcolm X. You don't have to find that version of Fannie Lou Hamer, Ella Baker, Asada Shakur. You can get what you need to get done just by being a strong person. Professionalism is not a prerequisite to getting the things that you want to get in life if you're talking about doing stuff for your community. So all you got to do is have the drive and like the authentic um, personality to go out there and be a leader in your community. There are no classes on it. It's just really who are you connected to. So the leader in your community could be a barber, could be a mechanic, could be the lady that babysits for everybody, could be the woman that's great with cooking meals, could be the guy in the hood that, you know, work on cars and you consider the shade tree mechanic. Could be the lady that makes butters and oils and she's trying to figure out if that's gonna be her her career, her business. Uh, but it's about who people trust in the community. And so like that's why I say, like, lot of the information we get in our communities come from the beauty shops and the barber shops.
Mm.
Why? Because that's the place where we feel free enough to talk about our lives and share opinions and get the news. The local government might not know who did this and who did that, but I can go to the barber shop, I can go to the beauty salon and find out everything that's going on. And so those are the things that you can do to actually proceed and move out there for people who actually want to come into being leaders in building intentional communities.
All right. I guess, man, for briefly for the folks at home, man, what's next for you, man? You did a lot of stuff, man. Like I know
Okay.
you did a lot so far, but what's next for you? What's something people need to know about that you are working on?
So literally, I'm the next uh, board of directors for the Little Rock School District School Board. I'll be representing Zone 2. I feel comfortable in saying it's the first time a rapper, activist, has been in the position of being on the Little Rock School District School Board. So that's next. I'll be filling out my good homie Drika Wrights. I'll be filling out her term, dope content creator, influencer, energy curator. That's what she is. I'm filling out her term when she resigned in November. So I'm stepping into that role. We'll see if I want to seek re-election or seek election in 2025, but I was appointed, so I'm starting that. Two, always with the Little Rock Freedom Fund, we're doing work in our communities, mutual aid, bailouts, abolitionist work, but as well, we're doing a lot around mental health awareness. So February, we got a mental health awareness, an event coming up February or March, and it's going to be, we're bringing in our brother King Shakur, who's going to be here. It's a black male empowerment event, so we're encouraging all the dads, all the sons, little brothers, big brothers, all of those people in the community come out. And then last but not least, I'm dropping a new single entitled Too Much. I dedicated this single to suicide awareness, produced by the great KEV, featuring Philly Moo on sax and Darius Blanton on keys, dedicated to suicide awareness, dedicated to my boy Jay Rowe, and all other people who are struggling with mental health issues and suicide prevention, all of that. So that's the rollout for the end of 2024 leading into 2025. So y'all look for that single, Too Much by Osyrus BOLLY, suicide prevention, suicide awareness.
Man, that's what's up. But man, I appreciate you taking time out your busy schedule to come down and talk to us. I know a lot of people at home gonna benefit from hearing some of the stuff that you were talking about today. We just appreciate you, bro. Proud of you, all the stuff you're doing right now.
Appreciate you too.
All right, so for all y'all at home, man, if this was beneficial for y'all, please make sure that you like this, share it with somebody, make sure that you drop a comment. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Until next time, y'all stay encouraged.